Next, we talk about maximizing your tax return, your tax deductions. So very quickly, I wanted to touch on 3 items: general tax principle, incentive for special tax deduction, incentive and special tax deduction, and transfer pricing. I will just giving you a snapshot, like I would say, but I will be focusing more on general tax principle. I shared this very often, and I've just highlighted just now as well. The rules of tax always evolve around a few important sections. Yeah. What is deductible? Ladies and gentlemen, we may not be able to give you a list of A to Z of a name list. None. All right. There are only definition and interpretation. So the interpretation of the law under section 331 talks about that deduction from a gross income of that person, expenses that is actually deducting from a gross income of the person from that source for the all outgoing, right? All outgoing expenses wholly exclusively means 100% only belonging to wholly exclusively incurred during that period for that person in the production of gross income from that source. So ladies, we're talking about like that one, means what? No, means I have incurred an income. This income by incurring, right? I need to have this expenditure. So this expenditure is only for the purpose of generating this income because it looked like this. So hence it is deductible. What if I got to incur all these expenses, incurred, only I have the income and I cut across 2 financial years? Okay, will I be able to deduct? This is case to case basis again. The general principle they're talking about during that, in that production year is during that period for that production year is they're talking about like that. So this is a general principle first. So all the special cases we will deal through another coffee on Zoom, ladies and gentlemen, okay, or through the question that you may have. Okay, like I said, continue to ask questions to the chat room. My team will be able to answer them as we come. Now, that is allowable. What about non-allowable? Non-allowable expenses, right? We can talk about the opposite law. Whatever the opposite, the expenses that is not wholly and exclusively, then it is not it is should I say it is not under 33(1), so hence it may be subject to non-allowable law. Domestic or private expenditure, right? It is your private expenditure, you bring it to your house. You bring it from your house to the office and you are trying to claim expenses. Of course, Inland Revenue may not be entertaining you for that. Capital related payment, right? These are capital expenditure, or these are expenditure that was actually fall under, we call it a Schedule 3. We are talking about asset depreciation item. And of course, payment of withholding tax. These are just some of the few items that we highlighted. There are more as far as Section 33 and further was actually talking about. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to use one very simple case to explain this, should I call domestic and private expenditure. Okay, we have this very interesting tax audit cases, very interesting one. So our client in the staff refreshment, they have this item. Okay, team, when you see people coming in, please click them to admit in. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, because otherwise it will actually cover my screen. Okay. Now, tax audit findings, staff refreshment. Okay, we have this very interesting one in the staff refreshment. Our client actually put dog food in the staff refreshment, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that great, right? And then the Inland Revenue picked it up. So 6,500 dog food. So obviously the Inland Revenue will add it back. Okay, so when they add it back, as a tax agent, okay, we must appeal. We must understand the case. Why our client put dog food in the company account, right? It would be too judgmental. It would be too judgmental for us to jump to the conclusion and say, hey, boss, how can you put dog food, in it? So we are glad that we were not judgmental about it. We talked to the client pertaining to it. And then we realized what happened was our client, because they have a factory, so the dog was actually in the factory. So these are factory dog, these are factory dog. So these factory dogs, right? At the end of the day, after discussion with the client, we realized that, oh, what happened is the dog was actually guiding the house, The dog was taking care of the jaga, it is the jaga lah, you know. So the dog is a jaga. So the dog is equivalent to security guard. And the dog is better than the security guard because the dog don't sleep, right? 24 hours, they are alert all the time. There is no sick leave, MCEL, nothing. And the dog don't even have to pay remuneration other than the dog food. So argue, explaining 33(1), and this is wholly and exclusively incurred in the production of the income, etc., etc., etc. And then, to our surprise, this is the conclusion. This is the conclusion that we come up to, even though at the end of the day, the transaction is still being added back, ladies and gentlemen. The transaction was still being added back. But however, right, we are happy with this conclusion, and the client are very happy with this conclusion. So let's read the bahasa part. The bahasa part is the inner revenue say this. Belanja ini ditarik balik kerana bersifat peribadi, meaning this is domestic. Remember, just now we mentioned about this. They say it's part of your 39(1). It's part of your 39. So they use the bahasa word. Core is actually domestic and private lah. Okay. So adalah bersifat peribadi. Sekiranya alasan digunakan adalah kerana dog tersebut menjaga premis perniagaan syarikat. Okay. Maka lesen perniagaan daripada pihak berkuasa tempatan adalah diperlukan. So meaning, they are not saying that the dog is private. No, they are saying that, hey, if this dog is really jaga your premise, right? You have to go to the local council, your local council, right? To get the dog tag. You know, the dog must have a dog tag. Get a dog tag for these purposes, right? Sekiranya tiada, perbelanjaan ini akan dikekalkan sebagai perbelanjaan tidak dibenarkan. So ladies and gentlemen, why I say, wow, at the end we are happy with this conclusion. Because can you imagine, Syarikat argue on dog food? But yes, we argue on dog food, ladies and gentlemen. So we are happy that the inner revenue agreed, very much agreed on the principle that dog can be a security guard. It's just that your dog is illegal. Okay, so no working permit lah. So because it is, so I add you back. Okay, the client is happy with it. Say, okay, I know what to deal with this situation moving forward, right? So ladies and gentlemen, this is the beauty of tax audit, and this is also the agonizing part of a tax audit, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now documentations, the facts of the case, whether it's 33(1), whether the case is really true or not, right? We need to really go into case-to-case basis, okay? If you have a case, put it up. 6,000 fine. Why I wanted to spend so much time go and argue? Because there is a principle behind this that we have to get down to agreement with the Inner Revenue Board. It has nothing to do with whether you are taxable or not. You have to come to a principle of deduction, and inner revenue, you have to come down to the principle of you adding back also. All right. So both ways, by this kind of case, we believe the inner revenue also learn from the taxpayer at the same time about how the security of our factory was actually being looked into. Okay. Now, that is a little sharing about principle of taxes, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So right now, let's move into tax incentive. Like I said, this topic too big. Let's talk about it another time. So just very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, to look into the maximizing of your tax deductions, it is important for you to look into, are you able to qualify from any of these, whether pioneer status or investment tax allowance, or any part is actually relating to you, or any of the special tax deductions that you are able to tap on, accelerated capital allowance, reinvestment allowance if there's any, or do you have a rental deduction issue, industrial building allowance? Is it a group? Can we look into group relief, etc., etc.? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So we will not go down to the core of it. Like I said, if you have any question, please send it on to us. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so incentive and special tax treatment, we talked about it under another venue.